Hi guys, when you're learning to play a song by ear, you first need to identify the key and then the melody of the song. After successfully figuring out the melody, we next need to figure out the chords behind the melody, also known as the chord progression. In this video, we'll run through some stuff we need to know before attempting to guess the chord progressions, and then 3 methods we can use to guess chords, starting from the easiest to the hardest but most effective. The very first thing we need to know is that in any song, there are 6 chords that have a much higher probability of appearing than any other chords. In other words, if you're trying to figure out the chord for a particular bar or measure, there's a high chance that it is one of these 6 chords. So how do we know what these 6 chords are? We first need to know the key the song is in, and then we can derive these 6 chords from the key. Let's try this in the context of C major first, so we don't need to deal with black keys. In the C major scale, there are 7 notes, C being the first note, D being the second note, E being the third note, and so on. We take only the first 6 notes, which refer to C, D, E, F, G, and A here, and create chords from them using other notes in the scale. For example, we have our first note C here. From C, we move up the scale by 2 notes and then another 2 notes, and we have C, E, and G, which makes up the C major chord. Next, we have our second note D. From D, we move up the scale by 2 notes and then another 2 notes again, and we end up with D, F, and A, which makes up the D minor chord. We repeat this with the 4 other notes and we get E minor, F major, G major, and A minor. As such, for the key of C major, we have the following 6 chords: C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, and A minor. For songs that are in the key of C, these 6 chords have much higher probabilities of appearing than any other chord. Let's use the song Perfect by Ed Sheeran as an example. Perfect is in the key of A flat major, which has 4 flats: A flat, B flat, D flat, and E flat. Like the C major key, the A flat major key has its own 6 common chords that appear more than all other chords. To get these 6 chords, we look only at the first 6 notes: A flat, B flat, C, D flat, E flat, and F. The first note here is A flat, and if we move 2 notes up the scale, then another 2 notes, we get A flat, C, and E flat, which makes up the A flat major chord. Next, for our second note B flat, we move up 2 notes in the scale and another 2 notes, and we are left with B flat, D flat, and F, which makes up the B flat minor chord. We repeat this for the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th notes, and we get C minor, D flat major, E flat major, and F minor. As such, for the key of A flat major, these 6 chords are A flat major, B flat minor, C minor, D flat major, E flat major, and F minor, and they have much higher probabilities of appearing than other chords. We can thus guess that the song Perfect, which is in the key of A flat major, is made up mostly by these 6 chords. Once again, before we jump into figuring out the chord progression, we first need to split the song into its various sections, such as the verse, pre-chorus, chorus, and so on. Each section likely shares the same chord progression, so if the first verse has a certain progression, the second verse and the verse that comes later has a high chance of using that same progression. The first method we can use to guess chord progressions is to try multiple common chord progressions and see if they work. Many songs, especially pop songs, use only 3 or 4 chords which repeat themselves throughout the entire song in a similar pattern. There's thus a chance that whichever song you wish to learn follows one of these common chord progressions. The first common chord progression we need to know is the 1-5-6-4 progression, which translates to C, G, A minor, F when in the key of C major. If you're using another key, say A flat major, the chords will be different, but for demonstration purposes, let's use the key of C major. Here's how it sounds. And here are some popular songs that make use of this chord progression. The second common chord progression we need to know is the 1-6-4-5 progression, which translates to C, A minor, F, G in the key of C major. Here's how it sounds. And here are some popular songs that make use of this chord progression. The third common chord progression we need to know is the 6-4-1-5 progression, which translates to A minor, F, C, G in a key of C major. And here are some popular songs that make use of this chord progression. Now let's recreate a situation where I'm trying to find the chords for Perfect by Ed Sheeran. As it is in a key of A flat major, I'll be testing the common progressions in A flat major. And there, we have successfully found the chords for the verse. Of course, there are many more common chord progressions that are used by tens of thousands of songs worldwide, but are not listed here. I've added some more common chord progressions as well as a couple of examples of songs that use them in the description down below, so do check them out and give them a try if you wish to. The second method we can use to guess chord progressions would be to look at a melody note that the chord lands on. For instance, here is Perfect by Ed Sheeran again, transposed to the key of C major for demonstration purposes. As chords are normally put at the start of the bar, here are where the chords are supposed to be, and our job is to figure them out. To guess the chords, we can look at the melody notes that are played together with the chord. For instance, let's take a look at the first bar here, where the melody note here is a C. There is thus a high chance that the chord above it contains the note C. Comparing it with the 6 most probable chords in C major, we eliminate D minor, E minor, and G major, as they do not contain the note C, leaving us with only C major, F major, and A minor. Further testing eliminates both F major and A minor, as they do not sound right, and we're left with C major. Let's repeat this process for the next chord, where the melody note is an E. Using the same logic, we eliminate the chords that do not contain E, and are left with C major, E minor, and A minor. Further testing eliminates C major and E minor, as they do not sound right, and we can thus guess that the chord here is an A minor. Of course, this might not work 100% of the time as with all methods, as the next chord is an F major, but does not contain the melody note E. However, since the chord progression goes C, A minor so far, we can deduce that F might be a likely next choice, as C, A minor, F, G is a common chord progression. As for the last chord here, we can guess that it is a G major chord, due to the common chord progression, as well as because the G major chord contains the melody note D. Once again, this method might not work 100% of the time. The simpler sounding a song, the more likely this method will work, and conversely, the more complex and jazzy a song becomes, the less likely this method will hold true. Nevertheless, I recommend using this method together with the first method of trying common chord progressions, as these two methods return pretty good results when used together. The third method we can use to guess chords is to essentially listen for the feel of the chord. This method requires relative pitch, and for those who are unaware, relative pitch is the ability to identify unknown notes given a known anchor note. Each chord in the context of a key has a certain feel to it. Let's take a look at the 6 most common chords for now. The first chord, which translates to the C major chord in the key of C major, makes you feel at home and complete, while the fourth chord, which translates to the F major chord in the key of C major, feels more majestic and far away. However, how each chord feels can be quite subjective, as we might interpret each chord differently. As such, we need to train ourselves to be able to identify chords relatively to each other, and one way we can do this is through ear training tools online. pitchgarden.com has a ear training tool that enables you to do just that. Under the chords and chord types section, there are multiple ear training exercises for chord identification, including identifying chord types and individual chords given an anchor chord. You can use these exercises to practice identifying chords relative to each other, and hopefully you'll be able to identify different chords by the way they feel easily soon enough. You can find the ear training tool at https://pitchgarden.com/ear-trainer, and I've put it in the description down below, so do check it out and give it a try if you haven't already. With that, thanks for watching, and I hope you have learned something new today. Do consider giving this video a like if you feel that I'm giving you value, and subscribing if you wish to see more.